Shocking defense. Coco Gauff's father slammed controversial for 132 record critics. Tennis thrives on numbers. Aces, winners, rankings, points. But sometimes, the numbers tell only half the story. And sometimes, a single statistic can ignite a wildfire debate fierce enough to shake a global sports community. That is exactly what happened when Coco Gauff's 432 record was thrown into the storm of public scrutiny. Yet no one expected the shocking defense that would come. Not from her coach, not from her team, but from her father, Coco Gauff, who stepped forward with a fiery outpouring that left critics stunned and fans emotional. The controversy didn't start as an explosion. It began as a spark, a quiet murmur on social media questioning the legitimacy and importance of Coco's newly celebrated achievement. The unprecedented 432 consecutive return points won throughout the season, a consistency stat that analysts praise as a rarity in modern tennis. But where there is greatness, there is always doubt. And where there is doubt, there are critics. The calm before the controversy. Coco Gauff had ended the season on a high note, confidence glowing, rhythm intact, and her mental game sharper than ever. The 21-year-old American sensation had risen from teenage phenom to a mature, commanding presence on the global stage. But her 432 record, a stunning measure of her consistency on return, became the unexpected battleground for a heated public debate. Some fans hailed it as a breakthrough in tennis analytics. Many praised Coco's stamina and strategic intelligence. But a growing faction of online voices insisted the stat was meaningless, manufactured, or even media-driven hype. It didn't take long for the criticisms to escalate. Within hours, memes circulated. Doubters claimed that the 432 number was a desperate attempt to keep Coco in the spotlight. Rival fans mocked the idea of celebrating a consistency stat. And while Coco maintained her signature composure, staying silent and focused, the noise grew louder. Her father heard it all. The critics pushed too far. By the third day of online chaos, several sports talk shows had weighed in. A vocal panelist on one program called Coco's stat a glorified trivia fact. Another suggested that return consistency is hardly the mark of a champion. Someone even went as far as implying that Coco's team had dug up a random metric to promote her. That was the moment Coco Gauff's patience snapped. As someone who had spent years shaping Coco's technique, sharpening her focus, and nurturing her career from childhood, Coco knew exactly what that 432 represented. Hours of discipline, fearless commitment, and a talent that refused to be denied. It wasn't the number that mattered. It was the work behind it. Coco had watched Coco fight for every inch of her career. To hear critics belittle her achievement, to hear them insult the work she put in, was too much for him to bear. He wasn't going to stay silent. The press conference that changed everything. The tennis world expected a routine press conference ahead of Coco's next tournament. No one expected fireworks. No one expected emotion. Certainly no one expected Coco's father to walk up to the microphone. But when Coco Gauff stepped into the frame, adjusting the mic with visible tension in his shoulders, everyone sensed something big was coming. He didn't open with a greeting. He didn't smile. He didn't ease into a statement. He came in with fire. "Let me be very clear," he said, his voice cutting through the room like a blade. "The people criticizing this record have absolutely no idea what my daughter has sacrificed. They don't understand what this number represents. And I'm done watching people tear down her accomplishments." Reporters looked at one another, wide-eyed. This wasn't the calm, measured Coco they were used to. This was a father defending his child. And he wasn't holding back. "You don't get 432 by accident." Coco continued, every word sharp with conviction. "Anyone who thinks that 432 consecutive return points is hype or irrelevant clearly doesn't understand tennis. This record isn't about publicity. It's about discipline. It's about resilience. It's about showing up every match, every set, every point with the same intensity." He paused, letting the silence settle thickly into the room. "You don't get 432 by accident, and you don't call it irrelevant unless you've never stepped foot on a court." The silence was suffocating. Coco sat beside him, eyes slightly widened, as if she too hadn't expected the depth of emotion pouring out of her father. But the room wasn't prepared for what came next. "Stop underestimating my daughter." Corey leaned in closer to Mike, his voice dropping lower, more intense. "My daughter has been underestimated since she was 8 years old. Too young, too inexperienced, too emotional, too ambitious. We've heard it all." He pointed firmly at the gathering of cameras. "But every time the world doubted her, she proved them wrong. Every single time." A beat of silence. "And now the world wants to diminish one of her greatest demonstrations of consistency? No, not today. Not again. Stop underestimating my daughter. She's earned every record she has, and she'll earn more." The room erupted in rapid-fire camera clicks, fingers typing and hushed reactions. This was not just a statement. This was a declaration of war on doubt. A season-long streak of 432 consecutive return points? That's not luck. That's mastery. One coach summarized it perfectly. Only elite players maintain this kind of consistency. Coco didn't just earn that number. She redefined what consistency can look like. The world finally understood what Corey had known all along. The aftermath. A stronger Coco emerges. Once the controversy settled, something unexpected happened. Coco came back stronger. Her next match was electric. Her return sharper than ever. Her movement crisp. Her confidence unshakable. It was as if her father's words had lifted the weight off her shoulders, replacing it with fire. When she won match point, she didn't celebrate wildly. Instead, she looked up at the stands, placed a hand over her heart, and mouthed, "Thank you, Dad." Cameras caught Corey, wiping his eyes. A father's love becomes a legacy moment. What began as a controversial statistic transformed into one of the most emotional sports stories of the year. Coco Gauff's shocking defense wasn't just about silencing critics. It was about reminding the world that behind every statistic is a human being, behind every champion is a family, and behind Coco Gauff is a father who believes in her with unshakable conviction. The 432 record will always be remembered. But the moment Corey stood up, voice trembling with emotion, slamming critics and defending his daughter's heart, that will be remembered even longer. Conclusion: the roar that changed the conversation. In the end, the controversy didn't weaken Coco's reputation. It strengthened it. Critics fell silent. Supporters multiplied. And the world saw a new side of the Gauff family, one bound by passion, loyalty, and unstoppable belief. Coco Gauff didn't just defend the 432 record. He defended her work, her integrity, her legacy, and her humanity. And in doing so, he delivered one message loud enough for the entire world to hear. You can question the numbers, but you will never question Coco Gauff's heart again. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like, and share. Till next time.